So Xander Breg is a functional safety engineer at Ford, and really excited about his talk on Python with AI for home use. Take it away, Xander. Should be good.
Thanks. Yeah, so as Dan's saying, this is about using artificial intelligence or ChatGPT or Claude AI to do programming. And then the specific use case is trying to optimize home heat use. And kind of the bottom line, as you see there, as what I found, this is kind of a new experience for me. So I'm not promising to be an expert on using ChatGPT, but just kind of wanted to I thought it was kind of cool a month ago, and it was fun to see the use of it. So I thought it would be fun to talk about and good experience to share with people who have not used ChatGPT or Claude AI for programming. And it basically gets you to the debugging faster, is how I would sum it up. It kind of writes your first leg of code, and then you kind of do the integration with your existing data files or other software. So it kind of gets you that debugging mode where you're already trying to figure out why things don't work because you already have a little bit of functioning code. So it doesn't do everything for you, but it gets you going pretty quickly, which is makes it a lot more fun to program versus kind of being stuck in those early stages. So it kind of gets rid of your writer's block, as it were, I would say. Um, okay. So my specific application, I'm a mechanical engineer, so I like efficiency and thinking about thermal systems. And so one is like your thermostat at home, and to make it more efficient, you want to set to a lower temperature in the winter and a higher temperature in the summer. And in my mind, as a th mechanical engineer, I understand the equations that we use to model and understand heat use and heat transfer. And that's kind of on my mind as I'm setting the thermostat, but I don't think it's on the mind of other people. So I just thought that there should be an instant feedback, basically, of if you're going to set this thermostat temperature, maybe it makes you feel warmer to set it up higher, but maybe you want to know how much extra energy you're using or how much extra cost there is to the setting. So it's kind of doing that transformation from a set point to something else that you can quantify or understand, like extra energy use or cost. Um, why this is an important topic, you can kind of see here, we're looking at the U.S. Energy Information Administration. There's residential and commercial usage of energy in the U.S. in 2023, so it's not the biggest. There's transportation and industrial are bigger, but you can still see residential and commercial energy consumption are pretty good amounts of energy in the grand scheme. And then dialing into like home use and then space heating and air conditioning, kind of climate control use, are those blue and light blue colors. So basically about half of the overall energy consumption of that prior bar chart is heating and cooling. So um, it's a pretty good thing to tackle as far as energy consumption and trying to reduce that. So that's kind of the rationale behind why this is an important topic for people to be aware of and think about. And so basic equation that we're using just to get people around a little bit of the math is not very complicated. But these losses from the inside of the house to the outside of the house with these um, nicely shown by all these arrows of blue, cold air coming in and heat being lost out through the attic and such, showing the heat transfer. So to model the change from the existing set point of your heating set point inside the house to the external temperature to a new set point is governed by this equation very simply of saying that the delta temperature, your new delta temperature from inside to outside minus your existing temperature delta divided by the existing times 100 is going to be your percent change. And so to think about this, if you have a lower delta minus the existing, that's going to get you a negative number. That's going to result in a reduction in heat loss to the outside environment. That makes sense. You set the thermostat lower in the winter, you have less temperature delta with the outside, you're going to have less heat loss, and that means you have to put less heat into the house. So that's kind of the overall governing equation, just to give us a little bit of background on kind of the engineering side of it. Um, and so Also, I just want to point out I have an Ecobee thermostat at home, and that allows me to get this data. And then also just kind of want to show state of art. as far as I could see quickly of like what I have from Ecobee thermostat. If you go online, you can get a bunch of different data sets of, they'll compare you to a 22 Celsius set point, which is recommended by the EPA, and they'll say, oh, you had 33% savings versus that, for instance. So they're already doing some of these calculations. Um, and then it compares you to the community, talks about your home efficiency. So there already is some amount of data available. I've saved $551 since I've registered, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago. But to me, that's not very useful. I want to, when you're making the set point, I want an instant feedback of this is what you're doing when you set it this way, not looking back at history. I don't think it inspires change. That's kind of drives me to developing this program, to have that instant feedback of, all right, this is how much you're going to spend next month. This is how much extra energy you're consuming. So, um, just as an automotive engineer, here's another thing. This is BMW has an Eco Pro mode, and they'll tell you, oh, with this Eco Pro mode, you added 7.9 kilometers of range to your car based on how you drove with this mode. So it provides that instant feedback gratification that you're doing something right. Hey, I'm in eco mode. Hey, I'm saving the planet, and this is quantifiably how much. So I think these kind of feedbacks are super helpful to drive change and reward people for doing something that's kind of otherwise imperceptible, right? Um, and so here are a few of the things that I was attempting to do in ChatGPT and Claude AI. So I had this data set, this CSV file from Ecobee, which kind of made my life a little easier than having to go through a home net, like interacting with my thermostat over the network, which wasn't quite so simple. But it's like given this outside temperature, so I had a month of real data and two different indoor set points, the one that was present for the month of February, basically the data set. We could estimate the heat loss, as we said earlier. And then, adding your monthly bill, it's hard. Like the thermostat only knew that the heater was on. It didn't know how much energy was being consumed. So you kind of have to have a little bit of user input of like, what was your bill last month or how much energy were you consuming? I'm not sure how to calculate that without some kind of external input from the user. So that's something that we'll see as a graphical interface, and then a graphical output of like bar graphs to show, what is the change. So um, I guess it's better to just, run through the app real quick, and then I can talk about some of the, little nags that I saw when doing the programming, and just to kind of show what it's like to do programming with AI as a backup. So I was using Spider, part of the Anaconda package, free plug. So so as I went through this, you can see there's a lot of different functions, and so it was kind of step by step. It was how this is my first time using AI, so I didn't want to be too challenging. I kind of wanted to know what it was doing as I was doing it versus um, giving it too much to kind of chew at first. So there's a lot of smaller functions in here about, reading the set point schedule, reading the temperature data from a CSV file, calculating the heat flux delta um, for different temperature set points. So I took the approach of trying to chunk out the code, which is, I think, a generally good approach to programming, to try to have different um, different pieces of it and make it modular and kind of add to it as you go along. So that was kind of the approach. I'll run the script right now. So we're using Tkinter, and if you're on Discord, you kind of see my struggle with Tkinter and getting it to close all the time reliably. But so I could enter a new set point, and this should be a little bit warmer than I had it. So I'll say 25 degrees Celsius, which is a little warmer than it is in the room now. And I'll say I spent $50 on energy in the last month. And then it gives me this graphical output. And I think it's Decanter still, saying that, oh, you use 50. And then if you had set your thermostat a little bit higher, it would have cost you an extra like $5, $6, $7 So it gives you that instantaneous feedback of, oh, you're turning the thermostat up. Oh, this is going to cost you more money. Or if you set it down, so I'll close it. So this is the problem I was having. It doesn't quite seem to exit the uh the decanter um plugin. But so if I set a lower set point of 15 Celsius and I say $50 again, you can see that there's a much lower cost to heat the house in that circumstance. Um, so it provides you that instant feedback, and it's green instead of red. Everyone likes green. So um, so that's the basics of the app. I went a little bit further and did some scheduling because thermostats now, while you're away, you could reduce your set point while you're not in the house, and that will help save energy too. So you can also do that kind of scheduling to help save money and reduce your energy consumption. Um, I'll go back to the presentation and talk about some of the different things that I saw. So yeah, for instance, the decanter function is hanging a user window. And so one thing that I did see was that there's like a root dot withdraw. So eventually you get back to Stack Overflow, which is how I think most of us, I grew up programming, was, doing online searches and trying to piece things together. The AI obviously is kind of piecing those things together for you, but you can still very easily need to be back into troubleshooting mode or debugging mode, and searching for broader understanding of different functions like Tkinter for the graphic user interface is Tkinter plugin. So the dot withdraw function seemed sometimes to remedy the situation and get the window out of the way and allow the program to proceed. Um, Similar, just the pandas input, like read CSV. And this is just classic integration. This is something I would see a lot at work. Just kind of understanding your CSV file and your input data and what the columns are and how big the header is and getting things to line up. Uh, so the AI just thought that there were separate date time columns, which they were not. Um, uh, so there was an error when I pulled in the data from that. Um, and that was because pandas pulled in that first column automatically as the index column, and that pulled out the date time from the accessible columns in the data frame. And so I had to go back and do a little bit of pandas research and see that setting the index column of false means that pandas would then assign row numbers separately from the column index and not use the first column automatically as the index. So that got me out of that difficulty. And then the same thing of like knowing how to use the header function and read CSV to clean out the first bit of the data to get to the first row where the column names actually were. Um, so with a little bit of that background, does anyone have any programs that they would be interested in seeing ChatGPT program for us and see how that comes out? And I've got a couple ideas myself, but just want to throw it out there in case people have something they want to see done.
Someone in the chat wants to see a spectrogram.
Of what data set? Sorry, is someone getting audio? I don't know.
You put it in chat, live audio spectrogram or something. Although you would probably need the audio as an input or something, right?
So one good thing that the AI does is it usually provides an example. So it usually provides you running code, including an example data set. So that's kind of useful. So I'd be curious to see, is this how you spell it? Sorry. show the frequency response, I imagine, right? So it's pretty satisfying to watch. Um, did it give a um I don't know if I have a WAV file or an audio file on my computer readily available. No, I can download one. I mean, people want to come up with a different idea, feel free to, but
Yeah, let's try to generate one.
I want to have a preference on. Is it?
I feel like my
Is my audio transmitting over? Okay.
Ngại.
Oh, then I get to work with Mac file structure, which I still have not not mastered. Here's a calculator that I made earlier today, just in a as a backup. Let's copy over the Chat GPT. And then oh, is it a GUI as well? I think so. Yeah. What was the name of it? Looking one.
Yeah.
Is the options menu for plots in Spider?
Right, right above your mouse. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. Can I make this even bigger? Yeah, so shout out to Spider. It is pretty good, like data analysts, uh, programming, because obviously you have the code on the left, you've got the console down below, and then you got your data is readily available. Oftentimes when I'm programming, it's nice to have available what the data looks like, the CSV file, what the columns look like, and then yeah, just have the output, analysis as well. You can see the frequency response here in the file. So I don't know. I know this is, 2025 and pretty normal probably for a good chunk of the audience, but it is pretty cool to within a few minutes grab an audio file and have what I assume is an accurate frequency response plot of the file.
Other plot there that it makes you.
Spectrogram. Oh, all right. Maybe it's what we're actually looking for. No, but yeah, here's the intensity in decibels, the time and frequency. So pretty cool. And yeah, it's like something I also got this at work where I had an output where it was a column of the name of the subfield. I was pulling data from vehicles, and so it comes back as a data identifier, and then that has subfields and it brings them individually. So it's not like every subfield has its own column of data. So I had to aggregate based on that subfield. And so I've done it before, but I didn't really want to have to do it myself. So it was really nice to just call in the AI and say, hey, I want to aggregate the data based on this column name, take the results from this other column and aggregate it to the other one, and then put out a bar chart of yes and no responses from the data. And so it just saves me all that time of having to, like, I know what I want, but it's just like you're able to pretty well prescriptively ask the AI for, pretty well defined functions. And then you start to become more of a system integrator as the software developer rather than someone who's kind of in the code line by line trying to figure out and understand what's going on there. So any other thoughts, suggestions for a easy yeah.
You ask it to make like based off your location to like send you a notification an hour before sunrise every day, so like you would know when the best time to go for a jog is.
Okay, sure. Trying to think of how to give it location. I don't think my laptop has that. Do you like
Just tell it like
yeah,
Detroit, Michigan.
right. I'm curious, yeah, because that's going to require some like we'll see how it does, but I'm just thinking how it's going to access. Yeah. 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 All right, so they're doing lat long. They're using Tkinter GUI, and then the Astral library calculates sunrise times. Okay, you have to install Astral, but we can do that. Oh, console. Luckily, it's not too big of a file. And I think we're about 42 degrees north. I think we're 90, 100.
It's like negative.
Hmm. So it looks like it wants you to get up 30 minutes before sunrise. Yeah, the other good thing about the AI is it does build in catching exceptions and showing errors, which is something that usually comes later in the programming cycle. Yes. Does it give an example input? Let's see.
Kind of seems like that you have to get the time zone
Yeah,
precise for what that library is expecting, right?
maybe, yeah. Let's try it. Oh, it's hanging as well. 40. All right, there you go. Any other questions? So, um,
Just have a question about the libraries.
yeah, so it definitely doesn't get you out of kind of understanding your data sets and how all the, like if you're passing information from one to another, you still have to pretty well understand what format. Like I was asking for the set point of time, and then it thought JSON was a great format to use. And then it's like, oh, well, my other file is in CSV. And so it kind of creates a conflict importing the data. So that's where you still have to, again, be like a software integrator and know what kind of file formats you're using and how to construct the program overall and make modifications to it um, as you go through the process. So any other programs? I made a calculator earlier, so uh, maybe I already deleted it. Yeah, here. So simple calculator. Oh, it's working earlier. So maybe restarted. Try again. Working at my desk earlier. Anyways. It's hung up.
You have to add to the prompt, must work in demo.
Yeah, it's to work live.
Can you copy the code that you have there and just feed it back into ChatGPT and ask it why it's not working and see if we can figure it out?
Yeah, I'm gonna run it one more time, but yeah, let's see. I've definitely asked it that, like, why is this code not working,
Yeah.
or like, where's the error? Um, I really want to blame my computer because all the difficulty I was having with GUIs working on this, but wonder if I can blame ChatGPT for its own.
Change it to like set and then string.
Nope, still doesn't work. String. Okay. Anyways, any other questions?
You tried Claude and ChatGPT.
Yeah,
Which one did you like better?
I didn't notice a huge difference. Maybe Claude's a little bit better, but they're both very capable, frankly. I don't know if someone else has any other experience where they found a big difference.
I just only use ChatGPT. I find it to be incredibly helpful, but a lot of people online and forums that I read swear by like Claude Sonnet 3.7
Claude Sonnet,
programming.
Yeah.
So it's definitely really.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try it. Hey, if you got time to feel, click the link in the chat. And just scroll and just show a visual.
Um,
You're on, yeah, the GitHub one.
No, you're looking at my screen. This is better.
I think I
Yeah,
clicked.
scroll down. You'll see an animation.
Like people online. It's still well.
Oh,
Yeah, after that. Oh, okay, now we can see it, never mind. Now you scroll.
might be on my phone, but that's fine. Oh,
Usually you're on your phone hotspot.
yeah.
Oh, that's what it is.
Should I click the link? Is that going to improve it?
That'll show the prompt and the Python code.
Oh. Should I try to run it on my computer, or am I not going to have the image?
You could try to run it, yeah.
Didn't link back to. Oh, maybe it takes a minute. Oh, there we go, right? Does it matter what image?
No.
Didn't like it because no attribute.
Hit install hello, I think, right?
Here, what do you, I'll share real quick. That's what it looks like. Like you just run your cursor over the image and it's giving you like the. And the reason I have the wired cover in there is because like you're showing like it's effect that graphic designers still use today.
So what's the effect called? Oh,
I don't know, I just saw it once and the whole point was to like ask ChatGPT to replicate it, like to make an app that did that effect, and it just fucking did it. Like it was crazy, like almost no tweaking required.
yeah.
Any other questions online or in the room for Xander? All right. Yeah, that was really good and brave because you're working with an AI that may or may not give you a working example live. So yeah, that was cool seeing it help generate some of that stuff.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Yeah, please join us next time, May 1st. We always meet on the first Thursday. Saw Janelle, you said you're going to join us in person next time. That's awesome. And yeah, I love having you all online as well. So thanks you so much for joining. And I hope everyone has a good rest of your evening. Thanks for joining again, everyone. Thanks, Xander.
We bring the boom so loud the whole earth shakes. With double chocolate cookies.
Nice.
Stephen Bunting, right?
Ho, ho, hi, 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 hi. Na, na, na. Kuta, puta, ho, 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 ho. Yo, clap, clap. If you're all fundamental, clap your hands, clap, clap. If you're all fundamental, all